Hello, 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 and welcome to Shared Space with Loquita and Chapo. We are here again to share some news about what's going on in Baltimore and, build some community in this here online space. Chapo, what you been up to?
Great question. So today is my wife's birthday. We have been feasting all weekend and relaxing, and caught up with us. I had I almost tried to take a nap before the show, but I was like, no, let me not. No, we had a good weekend. I guess I'd like to shout out Chef Lyle. I've never been to a wine tasting, and I thought it was kind of bougie, but my friend Chef Brandon Lyle was hosting a wine tasting event down Sherwood. So I went ahead and supported him and was not disappointed. It wasn't bougie. It was a bunch of our people just enjoying the space, eating some
Yeah,
really
of course.
great gourmet
Drink,
food.
bruh, like we drink. Why
I,
not
I
to the
fed.
wine
I don't drink, so I
tasting
fed
all
everybody my wine. Once I fed everybody my wine, the table loosened up. It was a really great time. So pleasantly surprised at his event. Sunday we had an awesome time. We went to a Goge Project gym over in Bel Air Edison. We have an adult beginners jiu-jitsu class. It's $25 a session. That $25 actually goes towards sponsoring and supporting the youth that they teach there for free during the week. Goge Project they're going to be on the show in about 2 weeks. But their new gym opened up in Bel Air Edison, 3205 Bel Air Road. Coach MJ, they have a free after school program from 4 to 7:30. The kids can show up. They learn boxing, jiu-jitsu, mixed martial arts, as well as the first hour is tutoring and academic assistance. On Tuesdays, they are learning bilingual. They're learning Spanish with Miss Deborah and Mr. Seda. And they're just networking with some really great community organizers that are plugged into that space. Coach is really very intentional with his time and his program. You know, the kids got to show, if you want to keep doing it for free, got to show up 3 out of the 5 days a week. But we did an hour session, so we started, and a shout out to Jefferson Butler, another chef that we partner with in the community. Butler Cooking actually met me over there last Sunday morning at 8 a.m. Just to meet the guys, meet the coaches. They had a coaches meeting, and we actually ended up doing a beginner jiu-jitsu class. And we said we should keep doing this. So every morning, Sunday morning at 8, we had the jiu-jitsu class till 9. We drive around the corner to Lake Montebello. We do the wellness walk with Quita and the crew. And then afterwards, yesterday, we were privileged to serve Nuestras Raíces, which is a nonprofit House of Culture for the Latino community in Southeast Baltimore and Gulf Street. So Mr. Angelo Solera, which I didn't know, my wife decided to sign up and volunteer with me yesterday. So she tagged along for the whole pack day. We did jujitsu, we did the walk, we worked the parade route for like 5 hours. She actually has known Mr. Solera since she's like 19, and I've known her since she was like around 14. So he's almost got me beat. So they're really good friends. It's really great to have that Baltimore moment for their relationship to come full circle. She hadn't seen him in a long time, so that was really great. And then today we tried to go out to breakfast. We got a little pedicure, and here we are. So that was my weekend. Been doing good.
No, that is so dope. Like, shout out to the Libras because my birthday was two Tuesdays ago. So September 27th, Libra gang. Little Wayne and I share the same birthday, but I know so many Libras. My sister's birthday is tomorrow. I'm not going to say too much, but that's my
Hmm.
baby sister, and she turns 30. So I'll leave it at that for people to figure out all those things. But also, Chap, like you mentioned a bunch of things. So Jefferson Butler, shout out to him. He was a part of the first Baltimore brunch pitch,
Oh, that's right.
right? Which was in
Forgot
collaboration
about that.
with the DM firm. So Taz, another one of our co-host on this particular Black USA News Network. She does a brunch pitch all over. Like this year, or I'm sorry, next year, she's looking at Baltimore, Atlanta. I think she said Tennessee, Texas, and somewhere else that's escaping my mind. But we're gonna be back. Like Baltimore is now a part of the whole DM firm brunch pitch. So we're looking at doing something for kids, and also Women's Empowerment Month. Like March, we're gonna hold that down. So March, look out for some of those things. But yeah, so shout out to Jefferson, shout out to Taz, and then shout out to 1 year of service to our Project Healthy Communities. Also known as Walk with the Doc. We've been doing that for a whole year, y'all. Yes, round of
Round of applause.
applause,
That's
right?
right.
I would say we've did 52 weeks of service, but quite frankly, we are not out there when it rains. So do not show up when it rains. Chap, thanks for holding us down the weekend
I
before.
may still be there. Yeah,
Right, Chap
that's
might still
that's the
be
white
there.
in me. I show up in the rain.
Look, the way this hair is set up, y'all, I might melt. I'm not going outside in the rain. Not only that, like when we think about it, we bring food, we bring books, people have to sign in. It's just not the same. It's really like cumbersome. So we are thinking about maybe doing something inside, but inside isn't the same as nature. So it's a learning, growing process. But we've been doing it for a year, showing up consistently, and we're going to continue until December 11th. That's also a Sunday. So yeah, we were glad to see Dayson out there
Dayson.
with us. So
So let
level
me let me
up,
let me comment on Level Up real quick. So
right?
Jason Brooks is officially has 84 students on the books in Baltimore City that he mentors through Level Up Mentorship. So support them when you see them on social media. If you want to get involved, hit us up. We'll plug you in. I want to take time to mention, though, that Dason Brooks at 19 was a published author. At 20, he had his Level Up. He is still going to college full time on a scholarship to Coppin, and finds time to have a part time job at the rec centers, engaging the kids. He's in schools across the city. And the announcement is that he has written his second book. And so we, as a community, blackusa.news, you guys watching, it won't take much, but my brother needs $300. He has a commissioned artist to illustrate his kid's book. That'll cost us three. It will cost him $300, and then to self-publish is another $500. So as a community, we need to come up with $800 so our man can publish his second book at the age of 21, and just keep his momentum going. Make sure that his voice is heard, his truth is being spread, because his truth is amazing. It's influencing Baltimore in a positive way, in ways that we'll never understand, because hopefully we won't be around to see all the good that it's doing. But this young man is killing it. So anything he needs, we need to step up and make sure he has it.
Right. Well, also, I'll say that Daysun is a nonprofit like I am. And one of the things that I've learned is that my birthday kind of starts off the giving season. So I normally do like a birthday party that's like a party with a purpose, right? And then October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. November is Thanksgiving, and then December is Giving Tuesday. So Daysun can really like create a whole campaign on this whole, I want to launch a book. Like people will support him, especially with the work that he's doing out here in the community. So $800, boop, a drop in the bucket. So I'll talk to him about that. I also have a resource, Ryan Dunstan, who works with Hometown Lending. They're doing promo for marketing for male mentors here in Baltimore. So I sent that information today. So I'm like, hey, go ahead and get some marketing done. So piece of
Mm-hmm.
marketing with the book campaign, and thug that thing out and get this money, baby.
Yep, and I'll add to that. Ryan is also organizing a networking event for mentorships in Baltimore. He didn't mention that it was male for this event, but it was supposed to be in October. They moved it back to early November. So when we get that sign up information, if you have a nonprofit, even if you're not a nonprofit and you're mentoring people, Mr. Richardson, I don't think he's nonprofit, but he's out there mentoring young people. Any kind of mentorship work that we're doing in the community, we want our mentors to sign up, get on the books, and sign up for this event. And what he's doing is he has a database of people in his industry, real estate, mortgage loan officers, etc., who want to plug into this city, who want to see the city thrive and do well, but they don't know how or where to plug in. Maybe they don't live in the city, they don't understand the full context, but they understand the need. So we want to have a networking event he's doing where we'll have him on the show talking about it. But they're going to put together this database of people who want to volunteer and plug them in with our groups that are already doing stuff. and just pad out our numbers. We'll have some volunteers to work with and interns who can come in and just help us extend the work that we're doing.
I mean, that's dope. And you know what? I'm wondering if I made that up about the male mentors because I mean, I might have because I'm thinking about the fact that when I reached out to Dayson and um Isaiah, I was telling them that there were two contacts. So what is his name? Damon of Project Numa. He
Oh yeah.
focuses on male enrichment and
Hmm.
he's starting a group that'll meet at I think it's once a month, and that is specific to male mentors. So I'm glad that you mentioned that.
Okay.
So male mentors specific to Damon. Ryan is all the people, like you said, nonprofit, for profit, who's ever mentoring, because that work is like taxing. Like you take the kids' stories home and you are really pouring into children. And so the idea is that we want to show the world what folks are doing, be able to tell your story because that's a big part of this kind of work, those stories that actually matter. So Dayson, I'm glad that he got out there. Ryan, he's a regular at the walk with the doc. At least he was when the weather was better.
Come on, Ryan.
Right. We might have to pull him up. We might have to talk to him about that. But yes, it's still Libra season, breast cancer awareness month. We can't forget about that. That's actually
Mm.
where I started a lot of my volunteerism and service work. Um, but yeah, chap. So what else has been going on? I know you mentioned that there was some stuff going on in the city with homeless services
Oh,
a little
yeah,
while ago.
Yolanda. We're waiting for Yolanda or Jason to hop on if they want.
Okay.
You guys can hop on the StreamYard link. Let me know if you need us to send you the link. We'll let Quita know because my phone's turned off for the show. Um, but yeah, so I don't know. I don't know the details to even speak on it. I heard them speaking on it briefly, and I got involved in the show and sidetracked the conversation a little bit. But yeah, there's some significant newsworthy events that evolved this weekend in the homeless community down by the farmers market. Some of which was
Oh, that's
misrepresented by the
right.
media, and so they were there, kind of sharing their truth about the context of what happened. And that's really all I can say about it because I didn't. I invited Lando on to kind of unpack that on the show for us and share that information with us. Um,
Yeah.
Real quick, because if you know about it, I'd love to hear about it. I also want to shout out Mr. Mike Haney has had an amazing Monday morning show, first Monday of the month, every month. Wake Up Baltimore. I don't watch the news. I hate watching the news. I hate doing like I don't even watch TV. As far as film, I'm a film fanatic. I'll sit and watch like 5 movies a day, but like TV, news, I don't really mess with it. But Mike Haney has such a professional and positive morning show. And I'm sad it's only once a month, but I understand the commitment involved because of the quality of show he puts together. So thank you, Mike Haney, and the whole team that's working with him on Wake Up Baltimore on Mondays at 7:30, first Monday of the month. Fantastic show, bro. Really bringing great people to the table, bringing people we already know, like a girl Cheryl. Like I've been listening to her on the radio for years now, and it's nice to see her and get plugged in with her. So thanks, Mike, for that. And just to give a plug again, we got Robert coming on at 8. The show before us at 6. Yolanda and them are always talking and speaking our truth, whether you like it or not. So if you're somebody out there who's involved in the community, for better or worse, if you're a politician, you might want to tune in and hear what we're talking about you because it's not always good. You might want to check in and run and tell somebody.
I mean, but at the end of the day, all of us are community developers. So if you're a politician, you need to be talking to us and listening to
Mm,
us because we are the community. Like, even if we don't represent every part of the community, we represent a part of the
mm.
community, right? Like, we have districts that we live in. We have districts that we operate in and live in. Like, pull up.
And I guess I'll give people the benefit of the doubt. Maybe there's things we're talking about that you don't realize your decisions are affecting the community. So check in on that note. But honestly, I think some of you know what you're doing, and you need to know that we know. So check yourself.
So while
I'll leave
Chap
it
will
at
give y'all the benefit of the doubt, I won't.
that.
Hopkins, Able, like all the studies are
Oh, we
out.
don't talk enough about Abel. Maybe we should one day.
I mean, but listen, they are doing Hopkins and Able. They do all these studies that tell us what is going on in the city that support the stuff that we've been talking about all these times. So I mean, you can believe us or not. Like, the information is out there. We know that Baltimore lacks in jobs. We know that Baltimore has an excessive amount of lead in the environment. We know that there's poor
So
transportation here. Like, all
let's comment on those things, right? Like, so the water thing, I was informed by someone who worked for the water DPW and specifically in the water agencies, I guess, that govern our Baltimore City water. 35-year veteran employee, retired, told me that we've been under a consent decree for water, and I don't know if this is true or not. That's why I give you my source. But she was sharing with me that the water situation, we've been under a consent decree for water in Baltimore City since the 80s. So who's being accountable? How do we get to the point where we can't drink water over West Baltimore? Like, if we're under a consent decree, if information's traveling up the chain and overseers are doing their job, how do we get to that point? And I think the point is that there's no accountability. So when we have this police consent decree, same thing. Part of the consent decree is that there's written in policy, you have to have these proactive policing, and what happens is it's spelled out how to proactively police. It even mentions programs like the Explorers program, which was cut. I think they're trying to bring it back because I know that we're gonna push and flex on that. But we're violating our consent decree daily, and instead of like doing what we're supposed to do, stepping up and being accountable and doing this proactive policing, what we're doing is we're trying to manipulate the language to include things like, if you stop in and sign a little book in a business and do a business, just called a business check, then that counts as proactive policing. When in fact, proactive policing is PAL leagues, explorers. It's investing in the reentry program that Otis Daniels was running, that Officer Horn was running until he left to do it somewhere else because the city wasn't supporting it, right? So it's all these things that it's more than just signing a logbook. It's things that were in place that Commissioner Harrison took out of place to cut budgets. And so, like, again, it's in violation of consent decree. So where's the accountability? We can complain all we want, but nothing's going to happen.
right. And so I'll take it a step further. So yes, lead may be in our pipes. We know that that's an infrastructure issue across America, right? But lead is in the air. Lead is also in the environment. Like, lead is in our soil because of the paint that has been used in these abandoned and vacant homes that no longer have a roof, that when it rains, the lead is leached off of the walls and goes into the ground. And now we have our urban gardens on top of this lead infested poisonous dirt. So it's in our water, it's in our air, it's in our dirt. And we cannot deny the fact that metal should not be in our bodies as humans. So that then leads to learning disabilities, the unableness to keep a job, to be gainfully employed, the fact that you are impulsive and you don't think about when somebody steps on your foot, like, oh, you disrespected me. But wait, maybe it was actually an honest mistake. Like, all of these things contribute to the Baltimore that we see here. And I'll make this a last point. Like, New York City. So shout out to, okay, I lied. It's going to be 2 points. Shout out to my girl, Angie Griffin. She is a real estate agent. And we were on Instagram today, basically going back and forth about how New York City, you would think that because the rent rates are so high that they would be on the list of cities that are very far behind in their evictions and all those kinds of things. New York is not even in the top 20 and they have such high rent rates. So one thing to consider is rent caps. Baltimore might want to look into something like that so that housing insecurity isn't such a big issue, because it's something that New York has figured out. They figured out how not to be super pricey in all areas. And that's by, stopping the rates. They're going to stop right here. That's something specific to New York. And in the 70s, I think maybe it was the 80s, they spent millions, close to billions, on lead abatement. And until Baltimore does something like that, we're going to continue to see these broken communities and broken people because there's lead everywhere. Like, you can't get past that. You can't outsmart metal in your body.
Yeah, it blows my mind, right? We got all these vacant lots. Let me tell you something else that I don't understand how this happened, but I, doing research for the show all the time, and for other reasons, advocating for our communities. Um, when we first started the show, and I think we're the longest running show right now on BlackUSA.news till we tap out. Um, or not that I expect to, but I remember looking up the vacants, right? Because I was new with my relationship with Quita and understanding her wheelhouse of housing and realty and real estate and advocating for homelessness or people experiencing homelessness and different solutions she brought to the table. And so I was doing research, and back when we first started the show about a year ago or more, Baltimore City, when you research the information, had nearly 40,000, near 40,000. Maybe I'll be conservative and say near 35,000 vacant lots, right? And in the city, not Maryland, in the city. And so now, if you Google it and do research, that number has drastically changed to about like 13,000. And right, and the city only claims about 5,000, and the rest are private owners. Not that anything changed in the situation, but I think what must have happened is maybe they changed legislation or vocabulary on how they define these abandoned homes, right? But what blows my mind is that we have these abandoned homes, and they're causing so much destruction and dissension and separation in these communities, and they have so much potential to go in the other direction and do so much greatness, but instead we just ignore the problem and it festers, right? How long? I'll tell you, like, so I'll tell you that there's houses in West Baltimore that have been boarded up since the race riots in 1969. And money and time has been invested in those communities, allegedly. But how do you keep houses boarded up for 50 years and not address it? How do you not hold someone accountable? How do you not, like, what? Like, I can't even think. My brain just stops. Like, what?
Yeah, it is. It's a cluster. And to your point, right, when I first got into this, Baltimore City was counting vacants and abandons at like a number of 40,000.
Hmm.
And then, like you said, like over the years, the numbers just declined drastically. And it's declined drastically because the definition for vacant and abandoned, they've changed it. They've made it a little more strict so that if the house is boarded up and there are no broken windows showing, then now that doesn't necessarily count as a vacant home. Even though nobody's living in it and no one's paying taxes on it, like it's a misnomer. So it's still 15,000 vacants plus, right? And those are problematic. That part, do you see what I'm saying?
So that's
15,
copy pasted from the internet, which we all know is true.
but
That's from
it's
no, that's from mayor.baltimorecity.gov news press release. So that's where I got that information.
and it's true. And also, so, okay, so let's be clear that demolishing buildings isn't always the solution because those might be historical buildings that are in our communities that if we could revitalize them, we would. So, demolition isn't always the answer. The answer is community development. Like Yolanda and I have been talking with folks in the West Baltimore area about redeveloping that area. We know Bree is over in that area. We know Shelly is over in that area. Like Black women are doing the damn thing. And at the end of the day, I wish the mayor's office gave us a little more flex, a little more lax to do more community development and force these other big corporations to actually do community development because they have no accountability to speak to the community before they throw a 6-story building when there's vacants that could have been revitalized. Like I do get it. Like let's start with the fact that the same house built in West Baltimore is probably going to appraise for half the price for the same exact house by the same exact builder in a different part of town. So the equity of it all, like it's layers to this thing. I'm gonna go ahead and go on mute so that Yolanda can say, "Hey, y'all."
Hey y'all. Quilla Quesadilla, we was just talking about you on our show. Um, well, see, the problem is we know that all this is intentional. We know that it's okay for our black properties to languish. We already know that, street houses that they let dilapidate on purpose. We know that these were part of historical landmarks because when we came to Baltimore, we were not allowed to live on the main street. We were not allowed to walk with the folks that lived on the main street. So we built alley houses. We had 963 houses under on what is it called? The highway to
Highway to
nowhere.
nowhere.
The highway to nowhere with over 60 something businesses, but because people wanted to get downtown quicker, they destroyed all of our stuff. And we know their job is to erase us from our history, because if we don't know who we are, we're doomed to repeat his story.
But you know it's a road to nowhere because the white neighborhood put a stop to it. They said nope. That's part of the narrative. So Minister Glenn Smith, and Quita had mentioned some of the transportation issues in Baltimore. He's with BTEC, which is a group trying to help advocate for the bus lines and transportation in Baltimore City. But he could testify, like, he was someone who lived in one of those homes that when they just ran through the black community and just like displaced everybody. We're doing this, but when they got so far, the white community was like, "No, you're not doing that to us." And
Why
they're
they
like,
not doing
"Oh,"
this down in Pigtown?
and they stopped.
I mean, it's just as many dilapidated houses down in Pigtown that it is. Matter of fact, I think that it's more in Pigtown down in that area, and Morrell Park up in West Baltimore. And they don't go down there, displacing those individuals. They come up in our community. And the crazy part about it is Jason always tell a story of how he was talking to a big developer, and how easy it was to come into a black community and take houses. He said, well, why do you do it? He said, you know why we do it? He said, because black people don't fight.
Because they can, right? We don't see the value in home ownership. We think about, oh, but grandma's house has this deferred maintenance and it's going to cost more, but that's wealth. Like, that's building generational wealth. And so we have to understand the value in that, because a developer will come here and tell you that this house is worth $2,000 and you don't need this and da 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 da. And it's like, nah, like the door was worth $2,000. Like, come on, like,
You see it when you say we buy houses and we pay cash, because they
yeah,
want to eat the equity up on the house. We already know what it is. I need people to understand the money is not in the house. The money is in the land.
right.
You need to buy your land, not your house. Buy your land and put whatever house you want on it. So if you get somebody try to gentrify an area, then
Like a
they
tiny
cannot
home.
take yours because you own the land.
Yep.
They can take the house, but they can't take the land.
How about that? So, Londa, while we got you, I had a question
Yeah.
because I came in late on the show, and we had some good talks about some other stuff. But you guys were talking about an incident that happened this weekend down at Farmers Market. I don't know if you wanted to unpack that on our show. Quita had some information on it, but what you feel like sharing about that?
Right. 'Cause
Sure.
I'll tell you this, chap. I didn't know much about it, but I saw that someone may have been trying to set themselves on fire. And I'm
Nope.
like, hold on, but wait, even when I heard it, I'm like, someone who's housing insecure wanted to set themselves on fire. Like, why? Like, why would anybody want to what they were probably doing is saying, I'm not moving anywhere and I'm about to set all of this stuff on fire. You can't displace me. But everything about setting yourself on fire, I'm going on mute.
Yeah, so basically, I told them that I wanted nothing. This been going on all week, and I told them I wanted nothing to do with it. But then I get a call from Deputy Leach, and she asked me to come down and help and assist, because, it was basically a problem. Other people create the problem and then want Yolanda to come in and clean it up. I don't have a problem with that. The only problem that I have is that you stop weaponizing and stop using our homeless individuals to try to get what you want. And then when they rebel against you, then you have to have somebody to come clean up. He did not threaten to set himself on fire. He pulled the tent in the street. He poured gasoline around the tent and said he was going to light the tent on fire, not himself. So that was just a lie in itself. And, a lot of some people got hurt in the midst of it. Some people he got tased, and they clipped him. When he went to run, they clipped him and he fell and hit his face and broke his hand. So, when we talking about weaponizing and we're giving people false narratives of how, because Quita, we've been doing this for a long time. You give people false impressions on how housing work. We don't have a housing model, first housing model in Baltimore City. And now let me know when I'm lying. Stop me when I'm lying. We do not have affordable housing. We do not have a rent cap. and we do not have emergency housing anymore. Nobody never said, it's not a lie. It's not a lie. So it's a lie. It's just never being talked about. So then when we say it, people seem to think that these systems are put in place when they were actually removed, and it was done intentionally on purpose. When they when they got rid of Reggie Scriber's office, they put an ombudsman's office in, and that's what got rid of emergency housing. So that piece is gone. So when people sit up there and think about homelessness, you have to follow the rules and the steps in order to get there. You can't just say housing or nothing and I'm not moving. That's not how it works. And I'm going to be completely honest with you, even though I don't agree with everything in city government, Brandon Scott did give them full reign to try to accommodate them by any means necessary. Their list of demands was thrown out there, and every time the list of demands was met, they wanted something else. And then they want I'm not going into shelters, I'm not going into hotels. So they offered them private hotel rooms with limited oversight, except for you get your room checked every week because it's a liability on the city. Mm-hmm. Then all of a sudden it came back, oh no, we want a voucher. What? And I asked the guy, I said, what is it that they can do? Because I don't have no stake in this game. I don't get anything. It's not anything that I don't work for City Hall. I go out there and I advocate. So for some reason, somebody gave them a false lie and said I work for City Hall, and I had to clear that up real quick. Well,
they might make the assumption because we're all out here doing their job.
No, somebody told them.
Okay.
And I know who it was.
Okay.
Yeah, they told them that I work for City Hall, and so they wouldn't trust me. I said, I didn't ask y'all to trust. This is how I found out. I said, I didn't ask you to trust City Hall. I asked you to trust me. Well, you work for City Hall. I said, who the hell told you that? And they turned around and looked. I was like, oh, really? I said, I don't work for City Hall. We don't get no funding. I come out here because I actually give a F. I actually care. I don't get nothing from this. But they offered them everything, and then they had a false. And I asked them, I said, what is it that she can do for you to go into, go and get off these streets? I said, it's going to be cold tonight. It's going to get cold. There's no more warm weather. He said, I'm not leaving until somebody give me a house. I said, wow. I said, so you think that she just go in the bathroom and drop a house out of her behind and give it to you?
Right. We got micro shelters on deck next time, Yolanda. Let them know that. But
they can't buy it.
Because you guys
buy it, Killer Quesadilla. They can't buy it. That's the problem.
You mentioned hotels.
But do we enable our homeless population to the point where are we doing this to basically get something from the city, or are we looking out for our homeless population? Are we using our homeless population because we need a building? So once they say, okay, well, we got Robert C. Marshall or whatever it is, we can put y'all in there and then transition y'all out. Come back on Tuesday because clearly they didn't know that city government was closed on Monday. Come back on Tuesday, bring it back to the table. Let's connect y'all with your resources, get y'all this, that, and the third, and then talk about y'all housing. Oh no, they don't have a plan after Tuesday. Who said that? They're going to put us out after Tuesday. Who said that? And no one ever said that. And she said it a million times. Nobody will be put out. So they didn't want to go in there because it was dormitory style. So she said, well, just go in there until Tuesday. On Tuesday, I transfer y'all to the one out Patapsco. Everybody gets their own room. You can come and go as you please. With very over little site. But, it will be ran by MOSH and Parks and Recreation. That was enough.
Parks and Rec is the worst, bro.
Right. So, I mean, it's not like they gave them, if you ask me, they gave them more options than they have given anybody else in the homeless population.
That's what I was about to say. Like, I'm thrilled to hear that they were being so willing to work with the population. But at the same time, you have to understand that these people have probably been lied to and not spoken to by a Yolanda Pulley, and they've been told, hey, get out of here. We're going to move you to this place. And then afterward, we'll move you to that place. Really, with no plan in mind. Like, you remember when Brandon got everybody out and put them in hotels? Well, once COVID was listed and those hotels could make money, it was like, all right, now y'all got to go. And that like freaked everybody out. But it's like, but we do have a plan, but no one was waiting to hear what the plan was. All they knew was my house is about to be gone. So I get that anxiety. But Yolanda, you being there to orchestrate it all, moderate it all, being able to be like, I'm here for the people, not for the profit of it all, because you are humans. Like, this man is kind of, it sounds like he's being unreasonable.
It wasn't just him, it was the whole collaborative group.
Mm,
Right. So if one don't move, none of them move, type of thing.
so they're moving
But
into
nobody
the
said
community.
anything about anybody have to leave. If this is your family and
Right.
your family is going in, then why wouldn't you go in with your family? But at the same time, at the, you had to post that chat.
You know he did. You know he did.
At the
Mhm.
same time, we have to be realistic about how housing works and how to get it. These people did not care, because I said something to one of the guys. I said, I'm willing to put y'all over top of the 8 women and children that need housing right now, because Deputy Leach is helping me with them too.
Right.
As far as next week. And he said, that's the problem right there. Women and children always get everything.
But I just told you I was going to put you above them, so they don't get everything. Like, we got to look at this equitable, and I need you to not worry about the women and children. Worry about yourself right now, because this is who I'm dealing with.
But he's single. He has no children. Why are you saying that women and children get everything? They supposed to. They're
They
women
should.
and children. It tells you to take care of your women and children. If a man don't work, he don't eat. I mean, all this is pre-written in the Bible. Not saying that they have to follow it,
and
but I'm just saying the
for
Bible
people who
is
aren't, I would say for people who aren't out here doing the work or engaged in the community, but maybe they're watching, also understand the context that there is a like undocumented number of people we deal with on the street who have undiagnosed or diagnosed mental illnesses, right? So there's also that. There's also trauma. Like if you're on the street and it's even if it's by choice, like my man, like one of my favorite dudes, man, Sergeant Michael, and I love him so much because he is like a wild man. He's an army guy. He actually saved. He actually saved. He showed me the text on his phone. He saved President George Bush's life from a bombing back in the 80s.
wow.
And he has a great story. Um, just being, but anyway, right place, right time. But he chooses to be homeless. But even him choosing to be homeless is still trauma there that puts you in that situation because it's not our normal lifestyle or normal choice or normal pattern or path. So even if you choose to be on the street and you are not suffering from mental illness, there's still a trauma that you experience that push you to the point where you're like, F it. This is what I want to do.
Figuring out where you're going to sleep every night is trauma.
Well, see, this is the thing. And, I actually had this conversation with housing and with homeless services. Some people get it, some people don't. Some people you have to bring it to their attention. And I said, y'all have to make another model, come up with another model when it comes down to our homeless population. You cannot throw them all in one space and think that that's a good idea because you have people out here with mental illness. You have people out here with drug addiction. You have people out here where life just happened. And just like you said, Chap, you have people out here who want to be out here because they don't want to go through the bureaucracy and the red tape of actually getting a house.
Right.
Or paying a bill or anything. So you can't treat all these people. You can't throw all your money.
There's no blanket solution.
Right. So, but you have to separate populations. Because if I go into a shelter and I get it, a lot of people don't want to go in shelters because when we sent that first group in, basically the girl walked out and said, I'm not sleeping there. She said, Yolanda, I'm homeless. I'm not desperate. They gave me blankets with blood on it.
Right. Right.
And she said it's women and men in there walking around with open wounds.
More trauma, Yolanda.
Like, we're re-victimizing.
Right.
And it's people walking in there with open wounds on themselves, just dripping fluid everywhere. And you want women and children
think about
going
this,
in?
like if I go to like and no disrespect to the shelters, they can't control people per se, but like if I go to like even if I go to like Turk House or Helping Up Mission right now, and there's gonna be somebody ahead of me in the shower maybe that hasn't showered in months, right? And they came in for the night, they got a nice, good, clean shower. Well, guess what, man? Nobody wants to go into that shower after you, bro, because there is layers of filth, and it is what it is. There's
And they're
layers of
not
filth coming in
sanitizing.
behind you, right? So like there's that, right? There's there's lice, and there's other just other communicable things that are in that open environment that I have experienced homelessness, and I chose, like, thankfully, like I shared on your show, like thankfully I had a roof over my head. I had a little 80s box Volvo I lived out of when I was 15, but
Hmm.
um yeah, I had the privilege to choose to do that, and get out of the elements and have a roof because what, like you just said, I wasn't desperate. I seen those spaces, and I don't. They're not helpful.
I
Well,
mean,
the whole house, I mean, the whole shelter
right.
model came from jails. They
R-
put all these people in a dormitory. And you have people with mental illness that get up and do strange things in the middle of the night and wake everybody else up. I mean,
Right. So to Jason's point, like, people need housing. So those folks with the underlying issues like drug addiction, alcohol addiction, mental health, being unhoused is contributing to those things. So part of the solution is housing first. Like, if you don't have to think about where you're sleeping every night, your mental health may become a little more stable. You may not
uncompromised.
need that hit right then, right there, because now you have something to look forward to. So Jason, it's not one thing then the other. It's all of these things at once. Like, but we need to start with housing. Like, we will deal with your drug addiction because we know where you're
Well,
sleeping every
Well,
night.
before they even go in, see, who's going to give an addict a house and then they be back at the same spot within the next year or two? So if you
Right.
want to create, and I gave them this idea, if you want to be in a house and you go through these programs, then you should be required to go to mental health for 2 to 3 years. You should be willing to go to drug addiction and
yeah,
get
because
clean for 2 to 3 years
our
first.
programs, right, our programs do 2 to 3 months, like Gardenza and
two to
Fayette
three
House and
months you
stuff.
relapsing.
No, 2 to 3 months ain't nothing, man. Like that's just 2 to 3 months, really. And from me being a recovered addict, 2 to 3 months is just getting clean. That's not that's not
Right,
like
but you got
cut
to
me
fix this
loose.
piece, right?
Right. That's not cut me loose on the world. That's just me getting clean and getting a layer of fog lifted off of my addicted brain, man. Like
But that
2 3 years,
cycle needs
right?
to continue. If you're talking about housing, if you're talking about, oh, I want a voucher, then if you're homeless and you have an addiction, we can't put you in Quilla's house, Quilla Quesadilla's house. We can't put you in there.
Right, and I'll share this, like, because all of us do this. All of us were in the like. I know you guys, and I know what you do. You're part of the tribe, man. And like an example, like I have a young man who is a victim of violence from his father, who was released on bail, and so he's living with his father. So he's on my couch now for a while till we get him a safe space to stay. Right. That's the kind of things that we do as individuals. Like if we can't figure it out, we got you no matter what. But there is someone like so the guests that were supposed to come on last week and we had to reschedule them and they didn't make this week was Charm City Care Connection on Wolf Street. And I wish she was here to talk about it because she had a concept where she was willing to take on the liability and responsibility of giving and getting housing for people experiencing addiction just to get them in a space where she could invest in them. Like her
Right. Like,
mentality,
we need to know
yeah,
where the people are to find them to
right. Like
continue to pour
Bakari,
into them. Yeah.
right. Bakari and Rose's mentality is this, like, let us get them somewhere safe to begin to build a relationship, to earn the privilege to speak life into them. But
Right.
let's get them in a safe environment first. So a lot of people, like you said,
Like,
like,
build a
like
safe space. That
yeah,
matters.
like I love Helping Up Mission, but if you're not Christian, they're real pushy on religion. And I try to when I'm allowed to speak there as a chaplain because they are good people and they do want to help people. I remind the guys of that because you got Muslim brothers in there and you got atheist brothers in there, and I remind them like, look, they're trying to help you, but question everything you hear because it might not be the right path for you, or these different programs that make you do stuff. There's like it's not free. There's stipulations. You have to do something. And their idea was like, let's just get them in a safe space then figure out what's best for them. And I don't know how she,
And
we'll have
that's
a,
where I'm at. Housing first. Like, I don't care about your vices. If I
that's
were
why
on
we need Ro on here talking, man. You need you
right,
guys to talk because
if I didn't know where I was sleeping every night, you better believe I'm drinking something or I'm going to smoke something. Like, I need to figure this out. I need something to calm my mind because I don't know where I'm sleeping. So I'm totally with the housing first model. But then again, other people aren't. And so that might be why Baltimore doesn't have a village yet. That might be why we're not fully funded yet because that's not everybody's, cup of joe. But that's not what I'm here for. I'm not here for everybody. I'm here for the people that people aren't here for, right? Like the marginalized folks that they're like, oh, you have way too many issues. You're homeless and you have mental health and you can't get a job and you don't know how to read. Like, okay, those are the people we need to start with because when are they ever going to be uplifted, right?
Yeah, another thing is that they don't want to go into certain spaces on purpose because like I think it is helping up mission. They have to be in by 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
and yeah, and so there's different levels, right? Like when you first go in, you're on a blackout. You earn the privileges as like a child. You earn there's really strict boundaries. But here's what I'll say about helping up mission, man, because I speak to the men there occasionally with Pastor Mike Rollo. All my brothers who finished the 12-month program are successful in life. And all those who couldn't finish and they go and stop, they died. And so, not to say anything, just to say that the ones who finished the program there are successful in life. So they're doing something right there, regardless of their religious agenda, which it seems up front is pretty heavy. But I think in the end, they're just trying to treat the disease in the heart and mind, and not just the symptoms. So they're on the right path. Um, but yeah, like you said, it's they can be pushy with some of their agendas, and if the guys don't get over that and work the program, then then
We
they're
can't
back on the
stay in
street
the
again, right?
program.
So it's like you got to find a balance.
Right. So like Jason is saying, he's like, there are levels to housing first. So for me, I'm not equipped. I'm not qualified. I'm not the person who would be here to orchestrate villages. Like I'm here to create housing. So
Right.
Jason, to your point, like that's not my ministry. I'm not a mental health expert. I'm not a addiction counselor. So those villages would be specific to those types of issues or ailments that we're trying to resolve. But first and foremost, you need to know that you can come here and sleep every single night. We might triage you out from here and get you some other kind of help, but you need to understand where you can sleep every single night. Right. The wraparound services. So Jason also added that you have to surround them with wraparound services and support, or they'll be right back to square one. But what I'm also considering is that these communities need to be of like-minded individuals. You need someone who you can talk to because I feel like regardless of how community oriented we are, we're talking at people. You know what I mean? Like they
Hmm.
still feel like, well, you're not an addict. You're not experiencing housing insecurity. Like you're a different kind of person. And I'm like, no, I'm not. But if that is what makes you comfortable, then we need to keep people in a safe space around a cohort, so to speak, or a village of the like minded individuals so that we can get the help as needed and bring those wraparound services, your drug addiction counselor, your mental health specialist, your
Hmm.
skills person, your jobs person, whatever that looks like. We need to
And
meet
you know what?
where they're at.
We have it's amazing because here's so like to end on a positive note because we got Robert report coming up in a couple minutes. And on a positive note is that Yolanda Pulley, Quita, myself, and then all of our tribes, like we have the tools, the resources, the people to do this because we are doing it, right? So we'll talk a lot about the negative side and we talk a lot about the struggle, and it is a struggle and it is a sacrifice, absolutely. But understand that we stand in the gap for and with each other for our marginalized communities and even for our communities that aren't as marginalized. We stand in the gap with and for each other to meet the needs. So when I need a housing thing, like I will call Yolanda. When I need, something that I know Quita or Quita has in her pocket in her tribe, like that's what we do. We come together and we make solutions and we figure it out. And I would say it's a Baltimore thing, but like Quita's from New York. We still love her. So it's not just a Baltimore thing, really. But like our spirit is there, and so we have this tremendous family in Baltimore that really we trust each other, we love each other, we know each other, and we can reach out to each other in need. And so understand that yes, there's struggles, and yes, there's these discouraging things happening all the time, but we also rise to the occasion, and we serve, and we
Right.
serve successfully.
Right. One thing I'll add is Jason added that if you're stuck in the mud, you can't relate to someone who has no mud on them. Like, that's real, and storytelling matters. So no, I might not have mud on me now, but you don't know how I grew up, right? Like, you don't know why I understand housing insecurity or food insecurity and how those things go together. So knowing how to tell your story matters. And Jason, yes. So Chap loved to tell me that I'm from New York. I was born there, but I claim Baltimore all day.
No, we
So
from Baltimore, so we love to hate New Yorkers. It's fine. It's what we do.
Listen, I went to high school here. I learned to drive here. My family is in New York, and I was born there, but Shorty is more all day long.
Oh, you definitely certified. We give you that. If there's any doubt in anyone's mind, I'm 44 years Baltimore. Quita is certified, bro.
I like it. I like it a lot. Yolanda, you want to say any closing remarks? I just want to remind folks to come to Walk with the Doc every Sunday, that there is no precipitation at 9 a.m. at Lake Montebello. We got about 4 minutes to wrap it up. Yolanda the bully, what you got? What you want to add, my love?
The people-tician. It's not always a
yes. So thank you so much for having me on. And the one thing we have to do is that we have to stop using people in order to fund our personal agendas. We have to stop weaponizing people, and most of all, we have to break the trauma bond. We have to break it.
Yeah.
Trauma bond between advocacy and people has to be broken, because it's a thin line. Between you helping me for a reason and you helping me for a season. It's a thin line. But thank you. I love y'all so much.
I love you
too, y'all.
What about you, Chap? You got any closing remarks before?
No, I think to that point, to that, look, I'm on the mirror here. To Yolanda's point, we need to get Mr. Noble on here talking about that trauma bond, man. They're talking about that the science, the biological science between the trauma gene and how we can change our physiology and our biology by talking about trauma and disrupting that gene. That's his area of expertise, Joey Noble. So we need to get him on talking with us about that.
Epigenetics. Google it, people. It's a thing. It's a thing.
Well, actually get to talk about two: trauma bond and Stockholm syndrome.
Ooh, both. Yes, the Stockholm syndrome. Like, you're just placating with your oppressor, and girl, we not here.
I wish you stop it.
Hello,
that's Jason, bro. That ain't me.
You gotta post what he said.
All right, so look, Robert Report is coming up. I love you guys very much. Thank you for all you do in the community. Thank you for being part of my tribe and my support group. I love you guys very much.
Yes,
love you too. Love you, Quilla Quesadilla.